At the 15th Grand Prix de Monaco Historique in the A2 category named after Juan Manuel Fangio, the race begins with Marc Shaw in the blue and white Scarab making an excellent start from pole position and immediately taking the lead. Behind him, Joaquin Folch-Rossignol in the green Lotus 16 and Max Smith-Hilliard in another Lotus also get away well and begin to challenge through the opening corners. Shaw quickly settles into a strong rhythm and pulls clear as the cars climb toward Massenet and navigate the twisting Monaco streets, while the Lotus cars use their agility to stay competitive in the tighter sections and the Maserati 250 FS rely on straight-line speed to stay in contention. As the race develops, a close battle forms between Max Smith-Hilliard, Marino Franchitti in the Maserati 250F, and John Spears, with positions changing frequently through traffic and under braking into the chicanes. The narrow circuit leaves little room for error, and even small mistakes lead to immediate position changes. Spears and Smith-Hilliard both show strong pace, while Franchitti uses his experience to time his moves carefully but briefly drops back after a difficult moment in the chicane. The Lotus cars prove especially effective in the technical sections, while the Maseratis remain dangerous on the straights, keeping the fight intense throughout the field. In the final stages, Marc Shaw maintains control at the front despite increasing pressure and heavy traffic, managing his pace intelligently to preserve his lead. Behind him, Max Smith-Hilliard mounts a strong recovery and moves into second place with consistent speed and smart driving, while John Spears secures third after a solid and measured performance. The remaining drivers continue to shuffle positions in the midfield, but Shaw ultimately crosses the line to take a controlled and well-earned victory, with Smith-Hilliard second and Spears completing the podium after a demanding race around the streets of Monaco. Behind the leading trio, the rest of the field continues to battle through the unforgiving Monaco circuit, where traffic plays a decisive role in shaping the final order. Drivers are constantly forced to react to slower cars at unexpected moments, especially through the narrow sections and the tunnel approach, where visibility and space are limited. Marino Franchitti works his way back through the pack after earlier setbacks, using the power of the Maserati 250F to recover positions on the straights before carefully navigating the tighter corners. Further down, wheel-to-wheel fights continue between the Lotus and Maserati runners, with each driver trying to maximize strengths in different parts of the lap. The Lotus cars remain more effective in the technical sections like the swimming pool and back, while the Maseratis continue to respond strongly under acceleration. Small errors, such as slight oversteer or late braking into the Nouvelle chicane, immediately result in position changes, emphasizing just how demanding the circuit is. As the race approaches its conclusion, the gaps begin to stabilize, with Shaw maintaining a comfortable cushion at the front and Smith-Hilliard consolidating second place after his strong charge through the field. Spears holds steady in third, managing pressure from behind while avoiding unnecessary risks. In the closing laps, drivers focus more on clean exits and consistency than outright attacks, knowing that one mistake could undo their progress. By the time the checkered flag approaches, the race has settled into its final order after a highly strategic and technical contest. Marc Shaw completes a controlled and confident drive to victory, having led for much of the race and managed both pace and traffic effectively. Max Smith-Hilliard secures second after an impressive recovery, and John Spears finishes third, completing a hard-fought podium in a race defined by precision, patience, and survival on the streets of Monaco. As the remaining cars complete their final laps, attention shifts to the midfield where battles continue to unfold right up to the end. Several drivers are still fighting for class positions, using every inch of the Monaco circuit to gain an advantage. The constant stream of lapped traffic adds another layer of complexity, forcing drivers to stay alert and make split-second decisions, especially through Saint-Devote and the tight run into the tunnel where overtaking opportunities are extremely limited. In these closing moments, consistency becomes more important than outright pace. Drivers who have kept their cars clean and avoided contact begin to solidify their positions, while others who pushed too hard earlier in the race find themselves unable to recover lost ground. The mechanical sympathy required in historic machinery also plays a role, as drivers carefully manage brakes, tires, and engines that have been under strain for nearly the full distance. Marino Franchitti continues his recovery drive, picking off a few more competitors where possible, while others defend tightly and focus on simply bringing their cars home. The Lotus and Maserati rivalry remains visible throughout the pack, with the Lotus continuing to shine in corner sequences and the Maserati still posing a threat on the straights, but there is less aggression now as the race draws to a close. When the final laps are completed, the field begins to spread out, and the pressure of competition eases into controlled pace laps back to the finish. Drivers acknowledge the challenge of Monaco, where concentration must remain absolute from start to finish, with no margin for error even in historic machinery at lower speeds. Ultimately, the race ends with a clear result at the front and a hard-fought midfield order behind. Mark Shaw's dominant performance stands out as a masterclass in control from the start, while Max Smith-Hilliard's charge through the field earns him a well-deserved second place, and John Spears completes the podium after a disciplined and consistent drive. Behind them, every finisher can claim success simply for surviving one of the most demanding circuits in historic racing, where precision, patience, and respect for the track matter just as much as speed. After the checkered flag, the cars continue to circulate slowly back toward the pits, with drivers beginning to relax after a physically and mentally demanding race. The atmosphere is one of relief and satisfaction, as completing a full race at Monaco in historic machinery is an achievement in itself. Marshals and spectators line the circuit, acknowledging the drivers who have successfully navigated the tight barriers, elevation changes, and constant pressure of traffic around the street circuit. In Parc Ferme, the leading drivers are greeted with congratulations after stepping out of their cars, still visibly focused after such an intense contest. Mark Shaw's victory is recognized as a commanding display of control from start to finish, having built his lead early and managed every phase of the race with precision. Max Smith-Hilliard is celebrated for his determined charge from the Lotus camp, turning early battles into a strong second-place finish, while John Spears is praised for his consistency and racecraft in securing the final podium position. Further down the order, drivers exchange stories of key moments, overtakes at the chicane, close calls in traffic, and difficult decisions through Saint-Devote and the tunnel. Many highlight how crucial timing and patience were, especially in avoiding incidents in such a confined circuit where mistakes are rarely forgiven. The mix of Lotus agility and Maserati power is a recurring theme in conversations, reflecting how different strengths shaped the race. As the results settle and the cars are returned to the paddock, attention turns to the craftsmanship and history of the machinery itself. Each vehicle carries decades of motorsport heritage, and the event serves as both competition and celebration of that legacy. Teams and drivers reflect on the unique challenge of Monaco, where speed alone is never enough and precision defines success. By the end of the day, the 15th Grand Prix de Monaco Historique is remembered not only for its competitive battles but also for its atmosphere, an event where historic racing comes alive on one of the world's most iconic circuits. The combination of skill, strategy, and respect for the track ensures that every finisher leaves with a sense of accomplishment, having taken part in one of motorsport's most demanding and prestigious historic races. In the hours after the race, the paddock gradually settles into a calmer rhythm as mechanics begin the careful work of cooling, inspecting, and preparing the historic machines for display and return transport. The Scarab, Lotus 16s, and Maserati 250 FS are surrounded by small crowds of enthusiasts, all eager to get a closer look at the cars that have just battled through Monaco's unforgiving streets. Each vehicle tells its own story of the race, tire wear, brake dust, and minor bodywork marks reflecting the intensity of the competition. Drivers take time to debrief with their teams, going over key moments that defined their races. Mark Shaw's side of the garage is filled with quiet satisfaction, with discussions focused on how the early pace was built and how the lead was managed under pressure. Max Smith-Hilliard's camp reflects on the recovery drive from the Lotus, highlighting the importance of clean exits and timing in traffic, while John Spears and his team analyze a steady and controlled performance that secured a valuable podium finish. Elsewhere in the paddock, Marino Franchitti and other midfield drivers compare notes on the constant traffic battles that shaped their races. Many agree that Monaco Historique is less about outright speed and more about rhythm, awareness, and discipline. Small decisions, when to lift, when to defend, when to concede, proved decisive across every category. As the afternoon continues, the atmosphere shifts from competition to celebration. Fans gather for photos, autograph sessions, and conversations with drivers who are more than willing to share their experiences. The sense of shared appreciation for historic racing is strong, with spectators recognizing both the skill required to race these machines and the difficulty of the circuit itself. Eventually, the focus turns to the wider meaning of the event. The Grand Prix de Monaco Historique is not just a race but a living exhibition of motorsport history, where legendary machinery is not confined to museums but pushed to their limits in one of the most iconic locations in racing. The sound of engines fades, but the memory of the battles through Saint-Devote, the tunnel, and the swimming pool section remains vivid for both drivers and fans. By the end of the day, the 15th edition of the event stands as another reminder of why Monaco holds such a special place in motorsport history. It is a place where past and present meet on the same narrow roads, and where every driver, whether winner or finisher, walks away having experienced something uniquely demanding, rewarding, and unforgettable.